It doesn't make a lot of sense. And I was actually reading an article this past, I think it was August, that out of an Oakland newspaper that talked about the fact that they needed to be better in December if this team was going to be different than last year. And last year was the same deal. They were 6-4 and struggled late. And I think he's only had 3 winning seasons in December. And I'm sure, look, John's pretty self-aware in terms of trying to fix problems. To have that pattern over and over again, sometimes you look at it and you think maybe you're driving the team too hard. Sometimes it's a function of having a team that's too old. Maybe it's the relationship that he has with his quarterbacks. He's retooled this team. I think there's 6 guys left from when he got there, but the piece that he hasn't retooled is the quarterback spot. And he gushed over Mariota when he came in. He always has multiple quarterbacks on the roster going into training camp. Maybe a change in the relationship with Carr and a fresh start with someone like Mariota. Maybe that's something that can help him to have his guy.
Yeah, Mariota has always been a reckless player to me. He gets hurt a lot, and I have this theory that when you're 6'4", you're 225 in high school and college, you can run over people, and that's hard to coach out of people. Carson Wentz, big. They don't want to duck. Russell Wilson and Murray, they slide. They've always been small guys. Would you give Mariota a chance to? Do you think he's an NFL starter?
Yeah, I think a lot of guys do better with their second chance. And Marcus Mariota is a guy who came in at second overall draft pick, high expectations, didn't achieve at the level that they thought he would in Tennessee. But who replaced him? Ryan Tannehill, who people felt underachieved in Miami. And there's a lot of history of quarterbacks doing better in a new spot. You look at, Kurt Warner is a guy that wasn't even found and was playing in arena football. Steve Young didn't win for his first 7 years. Jim Harbaugh was better in Indianapolis than he was in Oakland. Alex Smith. So until you give these guys a second shot, I don't like to write them off.
Breeze instead of Taysom Hill. Why not just give the Chiefs, who you could play later in the year at the Super Bowl, why not give them 3.5 hours of Taysom Hill? Don't give them any Drew Brees. Just throw quirky stuff out there for them to have to work and study. Why rush Brees back?
Well, this is a borderline playoff game. They're trying to maintain and have the number one seed. So you're going to do that with the best possible player you can have. And if anything, these guys should understand that looking past an opponent has been a huge problem. They've been guilty of it a little bit in the past. And my experience, the first time we won the Super Bowl, we had a chance to play the Rams early in the season, and that was huge. It was huge from a coaching perspective. It was huge for our players because you're not looking at a team going, who are these guys? You know who they are. And now you're at a different level of understanding what you can do, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. And you'd want your starting quarterback to be able to have that opportunity.
Yeah. So I saw Peter King mention it this week. Peter King mentioned something this week, and it was beyond rumor. It made sense. Patriots have cap space. Patriots probably don't get a top 3 college quarterback. Cam doesn't appear to be working. Matt Stafford, who has he's got money, he's got stats. He doesn't have wins. He wants to win games. Does Stafford and Belichick, to you, make some sense?
Yeah, it makes some sense. One of the greatest things that Bill does is bring in free agents. The draft record, you could argue, isn't as good as it should be, and isn't as strong as an indicator of their success as what he does in free agency. And the great thing about free agency is you get to look at it with like tape, and you understand who the guy's playing against. And with Matthew Stafford, Bill's played against him a bunch of times, so he appreciates the problems that he creates. He played for Jim Schwartz. Bill has a good relationship with Jim Schwartz. He's going to understand who the player is. So if Stafford makes sense from a culture fit, from a being able to pick up the system fit. I think there's a good chance of that. Now, Matt Patricia. I mean, Bill's got a great relationship with Matt Patricia. He'll be able to tell Bill everything about Stafford from a personality standpoint.
Only with 1 minute, Justin Herbert, your thoughts. He looked good to me.
He looks really good, and he's impressive in a lot of ways. He obviously tied the rookie quarterback record, and all that being said, I like to just slow down people's enthusiasm. We're so quick to anoint people, and I get caught up with it a little bit too because of some of the impressive things that he's done. But when you look at that list of records that he's on the verge of breaking, it's Dak Prescott, it's Carson Wentz, it's Baker Mayfield. You're not saying that those guys are elite guys, or you could argue one way or the other as to whether or not they're the elite guys. So it's exciting. I think there's a lot of reason to think that he's, going to be able to tear it up moving forward. But, the league's pretty smart. Coordinators are pretty smart. And you got to see what happens when people start catching up with what he does well and what he does poorly.
Eric Mangini, have a great weekend. We only got 30 seconds. What's the weather like in Cleveland today?
The weather is cold, as you can imagine. I know you're probably headed to ski. We need snow skis here. It's pretty consistent that way.
All right, good talking to you, Coach. Yeah, I saw.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Joey, we saw this yesterday. Binghamton, New York, not a mountain, got 40 inches of snow. Utah's mountains got last night 6 inches of snow. Those are mountains. So you got 5, 6, 7 times as much snow just in a town out east.
Yeah, I like snow for a weekend.
Yeah.
It can't be a lifestyle.
Boom, there you go. RecTech Grills, RecTeq.com. It's a grill you can turn on with your phone. You can cook from your phone. 6-year warranty, built like a tank. Last grill you'll buy, RecTech Grills.